All right, go.
All right, man. Listen, welcome back to another episode of Speak on It. I'm your co-host, Don Wilson, man. Y'all know how we do, man. Yo. All
Yeah.
right. uh, welcome back, man, to another episode of Speak on It, man. I'm excited about this episode. I got my man Biv back, man. My man Dwayne Bivens. I got my man Timon with us. Tim One, man. And I'm your co-host Don Bullshit, man. Y'all know how we do. We chop up topics, man, from anything baseball, football, basketball, man, to anything culturally related, man. So if y'all are tuning in, man, and if y'all know any of our episodes, man, share it real quick, so we can get an audience. But without further ado, we're gonna jump into these topics. And me and my crew, man, we just gonna chop it up, man, and give y'all our opinions. We're gonna speak on topics. So the first thing we talked about, that came to our mind was some news that happened that released later last week that we wasn't able to talk about, and it's the basketball coming back. The NBA is coming back July 31st with a new format. So what we want to do is we want to talk about that format and give our thoughts on exactly how we think that's going to play out and how the off season is going to go moving forward. So, Biv, man, I'm excited to have you back. I want to get your opinion on the basketball format and how that's going to play out.
Um, I like the format. I like having the teams that are actually fighting for a playoff position to be invited, and not have the teams that you know aren't in it coming out and participating. I think it's going to be very competitive. Um, I think that you're you're going to see the difference in just guys' work ethic. You're going to see guys that took this time to get healthy, get better. Because me and Tamar was just talking about it. They virtually just had an off season. That's basically what you're just coming off of. You're basically coming off an off season. So I don't think there should be too much load management going on. Hopefully, I'm hoping that guys play. I'm hoping that guys come out and compete and don't take it off because it's not the same. I hope it's competitive. I feel as though this is beneficial to guys such as LeBron. He's gonna get a lot more rest for this run. And guys like Kawhi and PG who weren't as healthy and 100%. Now these guys can come in. They can come in 100% and leave it all out on the floor. I think it's gonna be a team from LA, and I don't think Milwaukee has what it takes in the regular season anyway. I still don't think it is. I think it's a team that's going to get hot, maybe a Boston, a team that can, exploit defensive matchups like Boston, especially with you just don't know what you're going to get from certain individuals and certain teams, and the virus is still a factor. We don't know how that's going to play out. We have to see how that's going to play out. But I really believe that this is going to be a real exciting uh, regular end of the regular season, and then the playoffs. I think is going to be even more exciting once we get to it.
Go ahead, Tim. Go ahead. Tell me your thoughts. Speak on the formatting and your thoughts on that.
Um, First, I want to say hello to everyone. Welcome, welcome. Um, I think that one thing that gets overlooked is what Adam Silver did. I think he did an excellent job in handling the whole pandemic and how it's affecting the NBA and trying to come back. I mean, I think that he is always in the forefront when it comes to the commissioners when we're talking about the major four leagues as a whole. Um, I think I like the format. What intrigues me is it being played on a neutral site. Um, if everything works out accordingly as far as the coronavirus, because I definitely hear what Dwayne is saying. Um, if everything works out to where we got training camp and we playing July 31st, um, how does this affect the teams that have a home court advantage that play well at home? I should say. Um, your Sixers, how does that play? because they're very well at home, but on the road they're a little iffy. We can put Denver in that category. We can even put the Clippers in that category as well. And Miami just runs away with it as far as the best home court record in the league, but on the road they struggle. So we got that factor into play. Also, one of the intriguing parts is the fact that you got the 8 versus 9 seed scenario that could happen, to where it's like a play-in scenario. The only thing I don't like is the fact that if the ninth seed wins, then the A seed can pretty much run it back and have a winner take all game. But if the A seed wins, then they go in. That to me is that you got to fix that. Like it just should be winner take all. It shouldn't be let's run it back, double or nothing. Nah, this is the NBA. But I think that from what's been said, there was a lot of pitches thrown around as far as having like a round robin type deal like they had overseas. But I mean, this is the closest thing to normal as possible. So I mean, I like the format. Um, the owners, the 8 teams that didn't get in, the owners took one for the team in a sense as far as revenue. But at the end of the day, hopefully we'll see basketball.
So to touch on both of you guys' points, I do love the formatting. I do like for me because we're robbed of March Madness this year. To me, it gives me a feel of that in a sense because I feel as though that with them having this layoff and then them coming back, we are going to get everybody's best shot. We're going to give everybody's best punch. I think that to touch on what Taman said, the 8th and the 9th seed, and where if the 8th seed loses the first game, they get to run it back. I actually kind of like that because it also rewards somebody for actually having that higher seed. So if it's basically like it's a playing game. So if the 9th seed wins, it's the playing game, and now you got to actually go in and play the playoff game. But if that 8th seed win, they were already in that seeding, that slot already. They are being rewarded for the games that they've actually won throughout the season. Now, as far as the home court advantage thing, and it not being a home court advantage and actually having a neutral site, I actually like that also for in a sense for like you said, my Sixers or like a Denver or a Milwaukee or something like that. Because to me, it is mano y mano. It is who is going to have the best team out there. And to me, it also says coaching. Like it's going to speak to coaching. Who is the great coaches? Who is the X's and O guys? Yeah, I mean when you can't rely on your home field, you can't rely on your home court crowd. When you can't rely on getting the those ref calls, when you can't rely on those things, now it's about adjustments and coaching, and also about talent and cohesiveness. And I think that the teams that have been together, so we're gonna see how great Pop is. If Pop gets into that 8th seed because he is a great X and O coach, because he knows how to put a team together, because he knows how to put a game plan together, I think we're gonna see just how great of a coach he is. And like you said, the Boston's, we're gonna like Biv said, the Boston, we're gonna see how great of a coach Brad Stevens is because he's a great X and O coach. Because you can't solely rely on the refs to bail you out because of you being at home. We're gonna see just how great coaches is and how if talent trumps coaching. Go ahead, Biv.
Oh, I just wanted to ask y'all a question real quick. Do y'all think that this was the perfect opportunity to go ahead with that top 16 seed format and just see and like I felt like this was the time to pull that out and experiment with it on a season that was not necessarily lost but abbreviated, and then you had an opportunity to go ahead implement this, see how it looks, and especially on a neutral site where you're not gonna have worry about home court advantage. You just 16 seeds regardless of conference. I felt like this was the perfect opportunity to go ahead and just give it a try.
So go ahead, Tamar. You want to speak on that first, or
Yeah. To speak on Biv's point and then to kind of speak on your point as well. I think that it would have been the perfect time to try that, especially when everything is quote unquote the new normal. I mean, if we like it, we like it. If we don't, you know what I mean, we can just kind of wrap it up and throw 2020 out the out the window. It kind of goes to then, like, would there be an asterisk on, you know what I mean, the championship in a sense, because it changed formats, and then if you go back to that or go back to what you did before, it throws. I'm not gonna say it throws a wrench, but it's definitely a innovative idea. I wouldn't knock it. I don't, but I think there's a few other teams may knock it, especially in the East. But unfortunately, um, I mean, the March Madness feel is there with it being on a neutral site, so I definitely wouldn't oppose to it. But at the same time, I'm definitely okay with with what they came up with as far as the 22 teams. One of the things that Don was saying was, as far as Popovich, one of the things or requirements may be to where the older coaches can't even be on the bench. So when you're talking about those late games, as far as you calling timeouts and needing something drew up, or who you going to or whatever, if that's implemented, then you're gonna have Popovich sitting in the back with a mask on, trying to say, "Hey, pass it to whoever." You know what I mean? And you got Tim Duncan like, put it in post. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's a lot of things that could go. It's a lot that can play out. But like you said, I wanted to see if you would agree, especially with you being a Sixers fan, and their record being what it is on the road.
So this is my thing with that, right? I think road woes are, to me, coaching comes to play in a lot of it, because that's where you have to get, because when you're at home, the crowd gets you up for those games, right? The crowd gets you hyped. The crowd is what gets you focused for those games. But when you're on the road, you either going to have to feed off the other team's crowd and their hatred and their visceral for you, or your coaches have to get you in up for those games and get you ready to play those games. So for me, I think when there is no when there is on a neutral site and there is no crowd to there, now you just go out and play business as usual. So for me, I think everybody goes out there with an equal opportunity to win. It's just executing your game plan. And I think that, to me, this might sound biased, but when you put the Sixers roster together, right, when you throw out Ben Simmons and you throw out Joel Embiid, to me, those are two like unicorns in the game. Like, you can't really do much with them. Like, you got a 6'10", 7-foot point guard, and then you got a big man who just can't be stopped. So when you throw those two out there and putting everything on,
So that's not in LA. That's not in LA.
no. So okay, so when we're talking about in LA, again, I told you I didn't want to be biased, but you asked the question. So when we talk about AD versus Joel Embiid dominates. He dominates AD in every game. And then when we're talking about throwing LeBron James on Ben Simmons, LeBron James is a little bit older, and from what I've seen, he doesn't want any smoke with Ben Simmons guarding him. So when we're talking about from that aspect,
Speak on it. Speak on it.
talking about from that point, I now I'm not talking about the rest of the roster, but we're talking about from those 2 points and those 2 unicorns. I think that I like the Sixers' chances almost against anybody, and on a neutral site. And if we're talking real, and if I want to throw a bias point out there, I think that we beat LA in Philly with no Joel Embiid, and they had a healthy roster. They had LeBron, AD, all their team, and Kobe was in the building. RIP, my man Kobe. But we smacked them around without Joel Embiid in Philly.
Okay.
So, I had another point. But,
go ahead.
To talk about what Biv said, right, about the 16 1 through 16 tournament style. I think this was the perfect opportunity to do that, especially with them experimenting so much early this season, right? They already experiment at the All-Star game with implementing something for Kobe. So they already experimented with that. So this was the perfect opportunity to go from 1 to 16 and match up that way. My only thing would be, do they would it be formatted the same? Would it still be a 7-game series when we're talking about 1 to 16?
I would still do 7-game series 1 through 16. I still think that you have to balance the schedule out in the regular season in order for it to work for the playoffs, because people are going to be like, well, the teams in the West are playing out teams in the West more than the teams in the East are playing the teams in the East. But anyway, I did want to say something about, I disagree with you on just speaking for me as a coach. I feel like if I, as a coach, have to motivate you as a player to get you up, I'm doing too much. Like your competitive spirit should be more than enough to go out there regardless of what I say. Now, game management and how I handle things in game, that's different. But pre-game, you should not need me to go out there and motivate you to do something. Now, I can add motivation to it. I can, bring you up higher, but if you're not already up to go, then it's just not in you. And I would love to see Philly play to its potential. I believe that they have the best 1-2 punch in the East, but for some odd reason they continue to slip down in the standings every year. It seems like another team surpasses them. One team that I'm interested to see, and I've been interested to see them, I've been high on them all year, is the Pacers. With a healthy Victor Oladipo, I am interested to see what the Pacers are going to do, and I wouldn't be shocked if they make a deep run.
So to piggyback on your point with that, right, about coaching, why is it that we see teams like the Pacers who don't have the talent that the Sixers have, or maybe even don't have the talent that Miami has, or something like that, or just talking about Miami as well? Because I'm gonna say, like you said, I think the Sixers have, from top to bottom, they have the best talent on the roster from top to bottom, but yet they're in the 6th seed. But we look at teams like Miami, who doesn't have a lot of talent. We look at teams like Toronto, who doesn't have that superstar per se. I mean, I know Siakam is coming, but what they have, to me, is they have a great motivators. They have great coaches that actually are able to get the most out of the players that they have. And then when I look at when I look at Brent Brown, I feel as though that he doesn't get the most out of his players. And that's why I think when I say it's the coach's job to get the most out of his players, to motivate his players, that is what I mean by that, is that that's his only job. Like, I know I've been a leader. I mean, I've been a leader. I'm a manager, stuff like that. Like, I do agree, either you have it or you don't. But to me, it's also good. The great leaders and the great managers, or the great coaches, they actually bring out something different, they bring out some extra out of you that you didn't believe that you had on the inside. And that's why I think the Sixers is lacking.
Oh, I wouldn't agree with that. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. But I also believe that it's on Ben Simmons. Like, and there's times where he just doesn't look like the same guy. He still doesn't want to even think about taking a jump shot. Like, just the threat of taking a jump shot would take his game to an exit. Like, the threat of it would take his game to another level. He doesn't even have to have a consistent jumper. Like LeBron has, in my opinion, has never had a consistent jumper. But he's going to shoot it, and he's going to make you have to step out there and challenge it, where Ben, he won't even shoot it.
Yeah, I think that's where we disagree as far as who's the issue. To me, it's Joel, and it's Joel's lackadaisicalness on the court, and his passion to Like I don't think he has the passion each and every night to want to be great. And again, that's one of the reasons I also think that that's where it could be coaching as well. So, but we won't know. Yeah, I mean, unless there is a coaching change, or unless we see Brett Brown. Yeah, I mean, able to light a fire underneath them.
I would say that it's a little bit of both. Like you said, I do agree as far as the Joel, and B, as far as the not necessarily laziness, but it's almost like he's got that Shaq in LA syndrome, to where like I'm dominated at where I'm at right now, so it's no need to do anything more or do anything less. Just do what I do,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that is a detriment to the Sixers. I think that last year was their best shot to do something, especially with Jimmy, because you actually had somebody who is not afraid to close out a game. And I think that that's one thing that the Sixers were lacking. Not no knock. There's no knock to Tobias or Ben or Joel, but late in the fourth quarter, it just seems like Joel wants to, but it's iffy. And I can count on Tobias, but at the same time, he's a guy that you know for the first 46 minutes, you know what you're going to get. We haven't seen him be a killer. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? He just puts up numbers. But Jimmy, we know, okay, we give you the ball, you can live with whatever you do. You know what I mean? And I think that that's what the Sixers lack. And that of course the shot that Kawhi hit just kind of crushed that. But um, I mean, it's like I said, it's going to be interesting to see how this played out, especially on the neutral floor.
Yeah,
Um, that's just the most interesting, and the fact that they do have pretty much like a spring break in a sense to get back ready. Like Biv said, the load management, Kawhi should be healthy. Um, so it shouldn't be no I'm taking the night off or whatever the case may be. So I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I've heard that they got back to backs. That's one of the reasons why I guess KD's not coming back. But it, it's going to be exciting in my opinion.
if you had something.
Oh no.
So would you guys agree that with it being on a neutral site, that coaching is more important now than it has been in the past, playoff wise?
To an extent, I would say yeah. Um, but regardless, I want to know how they're going to do the refs, because everybody knows that. I mean, you got to play a certain way when certain refs are playing the game. I mean, you played any organized basketball, you know that okay, if this guy is roughing, I know I can't touch him here, I can't do this there. So I mean, it's going to come down to who really wants it and who studies what. So I mean, coaching is going to be a big factor. And I think that Nick Nurse from the Raptors doesn't get the credit that he deserves, especially with the Raptors being still in the
Relevant,
place that they're in.
right?
So I mean, we'll see, and definitely I forgot the coach's name for the Bucks, but his system is kind of a
Bulldozer.
branch off of Popovich. So he has success in Atlanta, just not in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen the development of how Milwaukee has. So I'm intrigued to see how those two coaching styles pan out. I mean, of course, Milwaukee looks like the favorite in the East, but I mean, with it being on a neutral site, it kind of changes things.
I mean, they was the favorite last year too, but anyway. I honestly, I know I know we ride the Milwaukee cheering. A lot of people do, but I actually think that nobody's afraid of Milwaukee. Actually, teams want to face Milwaukee. I think teams in the East aren't afraid of Milwaukee, and we've heard it. We've heard it all season. People say they're not afraid of them.
I think you have a hidden motive why you want Milwaukee not to go, because you want Giannis
I actually listen.
in that blue and gold over there in San Francisco.
No, listen. I do want him over there. I do want him over there in that blue and gold in San Francisco.
You
But
got ulterior motives, huh?
but again, I've heard all season where teams just aren't afraid of them. I mean, they're a dominant team in the regular season, but their teams aren't afraid of them. Um, again, Giannis, as great as he is, I think in the playoff format, we see his deficiencies. Um, his second go-to, his second man, his go-to second person option is Chris Middleton, who's not necessarily he's not a bad player, but he's not a superstar. To me, he's not a takeover type player. So you can game plan for that. Eric Bledsoe as the third option, right? Like when we're going down that list, there's no one outside of Giannis that strikes fear in you. So that's why I believe teams are aren't scared of Milwaukee.
No disagreement.
I don't disagree, but like I said, I think you just have ulterior motives.
I do want him in Golden State, but but
You want him in Oakland? Huh?
it has nothing to do with I mean my evaluation of what I'm looking at.
No,
You know what I mean?
I agree though. I agree.
So um talking about the format, right? And um so one of the things I want to ask you guys is who do you think benefits more from it being on a neutral site team wise?
The Celtics,
The Celtics. Okay.
Lakers, yeah, the Celtics, the Lakers, the Blazers.
And what you say is that go before I ask that, if you have any thoughts on that?
No, I don't think anybody gets
Okay.
an advantage because of being on a neutral site. I think everybody is at a. I think everybody's at an equal disadvantage,
So to
in my
mine,
opinion.
and I kind of I lean on to both sides, right? But I want to ask Taman this: when you say the Celtics or the Lakers, would you say that is because coaching, or are you saying that because of experience?
Well, I mean, for each of the teams, I have different reasons. For one, the Blazers is biased, of course, because I'm a Carmelo Anthony fan. So, um, but I mean, talent wise, I think that they can play with anybody in the league, um, especially if they get oh my gosh, what's his
Yurkic,
name? The big guy
Yurkic.
back. Yes, is it Jurgen? Yeah. If they get him back, then that's definitely a team that I mean would make some noise. But I think it's overall talent and team. I mean, just putting the team, throwing a five out there, especially in the East. You got Kimba, you got Jalen, you got Jason, and you got Gordon, and that's pretty formidable in my opinion. If you're just throwing them out there in the summer league type atmosphere. Um, so that's in the Lakers is pretty much LeBron and AD against the world, and you have arguably say whatever you want to say or not, arguably the best big man in the league and arguably the best player in the league on the same team. So
Well,
those are the reasons why I would say that they will have quote unquote advantages because at the end of the day, talent they have the talent in my opinion, overall talent, and I mean that to me on a neutral site is just it takes it back to AAU. You know what I mean? Like you have every crowd different places, but at the same time, like everything, it's a lot going on. So it may not be one specific crowd for one specific game. So it's a matter of like Biv said, as far as managing the game, as far as the coaches, that's what you got to do. But now you got it to where like you don't have nobody in the crowd. Like this
right.
is going outside. This your team. This my team. Let's rock.
It's
So
like yeah, it's like it's like when you on the court and you shoot and then you picking, right? You picking your best team and you throwing it out there, and that's what we're going with, right? Um, at the park. Um, but I think um, it does benefit people who have been together for a while. Units that have been together for a while, chemistry wise, and who have played a lot of basketball together, playoff high level basketball. And I don't think the reason why I put a knock on the Lakers is for some reason for me. Just watching AD in pressure moments and in big moments in the playoffs, I think that he shies away from the moment at times. And I think that is what I think is ultimately going to hurt the Lakers. Even before COVID, I thought that was going to be an issue because I think sometimes AD doesn't live up to that big time moment. But I think that a lot of the teams so some of the young teams like the Celtics, who just out there just playing and who have nothing, they just want to go out there and kill everybody. I think that's going to benefit them. They got those young ladies out there. They're probably going to be real energetic, and they just want to go out there and kill. I think it benefits the Heat a little bit as well. Just style of play, the way the Heat play, with no home court advantage, a neutral site. They want to play from the outside in, and they got those knockdown shooters. So I think that may help them a lot as well. And a team that I also think it helps is the Houston Rockets a little bit with their up and down style of play and their small ball. I think that may help them a lot also with it not being at a neutral site. Well, I'm with it being at a neutral site.
I think everybody's at a disadvantage just because it's going to be in a neutral site.
Right.
So people are going to have to change up living arrangements. Or guys going to have their families there with them. Like those type of things. They're going to play a factor into what's going on. And I think Miami, it's right there in Orlando, so they might be okay. But I think a lot of other teams, it's going to be a real adjustment in just living in Orlando for the next 4 or 5 months playing basketball at the same time. It's gonna have an open gym. If you ever been to like a holiday tournament or been to an AAU tournament where this gym is nothing in there but players. That's all it is. You just look around and there's nothing but basketball players walking all around. It's gonna have that sort of vibe. No crowd. You're gonna be able to hear everything. Those guys are gonna they can't drown anything out. I think, Dom, I'm with you on the coaching thing, but I think it's not gonna be the X's and O's in game. It's gonna be off the court, preparing their team, making sure everybody is doing what they're supposed to be doing, where they're supposed to be. That part of the coaching to me is what's gonna make the biggest difference, is how they prepare their teams off the court for each game. I think the in game, these days, majority of the guys are coaching themselves on the floor anyway. It's just timeouts and drawing up plays out of timeouts. That's really what a lot of the coaches are doing. Guys are managing the game for the most part on the floor. So I don't really think that's going to be a factor, but it's going to be that off court that's going to be the difference. This guys going to be finding themselves getting into things that they ain't supposed to be getting into. That's where the coaching, to me, is going to play the biggest factor.
Let's talk about a team that we're not talking about, who has a major advantage, which is the Orlando Magic. It's their home court. They're in the playoffs. So let's talk about them, right? And how this actually, the whole tournament being in their house, and to talk about what Bibbs just said, right? The off-court stuff. They live there. They know. They don't have to travel. They're going to go home to their families. Their regiment is not being interrupted. How does that actually help Orlando, and how does that give them an advantage? To the point where we may see them give. I think they're an 8th seed right now. We may see them give. And I told y'all nobody's scared of Milwaukee. We may see them give Milwaukee a little bit of a problem in the first round because it's a home court advantage.
No. Look, I like Orlando, but no.
So let me ask you this question. Let's say, because it's close, 7 and 8 is close. Brooklyn and Orlando. Let's say Orlando gets to the 7th seed and they got to play Toronto at home. Are you still saying that they're not giving Toronto a problem? Because they gave Toronto a problem last year.
Toronto is 6.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not saying that Orlando's gonna beat them. I'm saying that they may cause them issues, give them issues. And I'm gonna say this again. I know you love the Bucks and Giannis. But
I never said that. I never said that at
listen,
all.
from the way you talking, it's like that's your other team. Soon as
No,
um,
no. I'm just saying the Bucks is what it is. What you mean? They've been the
what
best
is
team in
it?
the East for the past 2 years.
And they
Since
lost both times, and they lost in the first round. I mean, and they
no,
lost
not
and
the
they lost
first round.
in the conference finals.
Okay, but you playing against a killer, and he got a whole bunch of other pretty decent guys around him, and Giannis is just happy to be there. So now
So he got to be
Giannis
happy
is
to be there
like,
now.
no, he's trying to win a chip.
So he wasn't trying
So
to
I
win a chip
mean,
last year.
not saying he wasn't, but I mean, the from where Milwaukee was to get to the conference finals, that was an achievement.
Last year,
So yeah, what do you mean?
man, people picked them to go to the finals last year,
They
and I seen some
did,
people actually pick them to beat Golden State Warriors.
but even them making them, they had to actually do it though. So they had to get past the first round, past the second round, past the third round. It's almost like Mike. Mike had to get through all what he had to get
I
through,
got
and
you.
then finally that hump to where I mean that's almost the journey of I ain't gonna say every franchise, but it's always a hump that you got to get over in order to get there. And part of that hump is that process. And I
I,
mean, I'm
I
not
got you.
I'm not saying that Milwaukee shouldn't have been in the finals last year. I mean, on paper, it looked like they should, but at the same time, I think that they were inside like, okay, we got where we wanted. Now next year, let's get here and past here. You know what I mean? So
I
it's
got you. So the only
but
just again, I'm not saying that they're gonna beat either one of those teams. I'm just saying with everything that we've laid out as far as the advantages or the disadvantages of, we're saying why teams may have be at a disadvantage. There is one team that is in that plays in that state in that gym. You know what I mean? Who may be at an advantage where we see they may cause some problems again, especially if they get to that 7th seed. One of the things I did want to ask you guys, and we know it may not happen, but when I first saw that basketball was coming back July 31st, and I thought the possibility of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving coming back to actually play either Toronto or Milwaukee. Do y'all think that this question is twofold? Do you think that one that would have been fair, and two, do you think that that 7th seeded or 8th seeded Nets could have actually made the finals if those two would have came back?
you said the finals.
The finals.
No, they haven't played together yet, and now you just on. I mean, listen, Kyrie is what he is. Kevin Durant is what he is. But at the same time, we have not seen what they can do together along with what they have in I'm not gonna say not New Jersey, but in Brooklyn. So that to me would be far fetched. Not to say it wouldn't be competitive, but I don't know about finals. It like, but but how would I'm not okay? Would it be fair? Yes, I would say it would be fair because at the end of the day, my player's healthy. We gonna rock with him. It just so happens that the Nets just happen to be in a playoff position, and now we get the guy that we traded or not traded for, but signed. Why not? And let's take a shot. But then on the other end, KD, that's the same reason why you got hurt in the first place. So you know what I mean? Like you said you was gonna take out this year. Don't just come back because the season is prolonged for another, you know what I mean, 3-4 months. Because at the end of the day, the way that it's looking, the finals is in at the mid October, and then
Mm-hmm.
you got the next season starting December 1st. So I mean, if that were to happen, that they go and New Jersey plays whichever LA team we think is going to be in the finals, then you got back-to-back games, back all of that coming off an injury, and then not even having that spaced out time to get yourself together. Then you go right back into training camp, and then we're talking about the Olympics in 2021. That's a lot coming back off an injury. Chill, relax yourself, be free. Somebody like Nurkic from Portland. It may sound biased because I mean, of course, like Melo get his ring, but at the same time though, his was what was it in the playoffs?
I said it was around like the same. Well, no, it wasn't because KD came in the finals, but it wasn't the playoffs.
So I mean, if Portland had, not saying they would have, but just saying if they push it to the second round, then we would have still had that possibility of Nurkic coming back, and then we can't say that that's not fair. You know what I mean? So
No, I
I,
got
I,
you.
I
I
would say
got you.
I
I,
would say that it would be fair, but at the end of the day, the Nets was not going to go to the
Biff,
I say it would have been fair, but I don't know. To be completely honest with you, there's no clear cut dominant team in the East to where I would say that a healthy KD and a healthy Kyrie with what they have could make a run. I mean, I'm just there's no team in the East where I'm like, there's no way that that team is gonna beat them. I don't. There's none. Like Milwaukee, Philly, Boston. None of them are like the Lakers or the Clippers. Like, there's no way that they're going to be the Lakers or the Clippers with Kyrie, KD coming back and not being on the same page and the chemistry and everything. But there's not a team in the East that I put my money on and guarantee that would beat the Nets. I don't see one. I wouldn't be shocked if they lost or if they won, but I'm not going to definitively say that they wouldn't win the East. But I don't
I,
think that would be stupid to do.
I agree with both of you. Where
I'm
uh,
stupid now. I'm stupid now.
No, I'm saying it would be stupid for them to put him out there, for them to put him out there. Like, it's not even worth it.
Oh,
It's
okay,
not worth it.
okay,
It's not worth it.
so
okay.
Yeah, that would be stupid to do if the
I
Nets did that,
so this is what I'll
burn
say.
down the whole building.
This is what I'll say. I think that it would be fair for him to come back and for them to come back and be able to play because the season has been prolonged. Now, to Bib's point, there is no clear-cut favorite. Like I said, I've been saying all the whole time, nobody's scared of Milwaukee. And then you drop Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving to an already good Nets team. And to me, Kevin Durant's the best player in the NBA. So you put him on the team, you put him on that Nets team, and we know what he can do. And he will elevate everybody on that team and make them better. And I feel as though that in the East that you can make a run. And to me, it's not far fetched to say that they couldn't make a run. They can go to the final.
one more point, and then we can move on to the next topic. So Steph Curry and Klay Thompson could come back.
They could,
Well,
but it would make no
no,
sense.
no. Hold, let me. So if they come back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who you
They
got
made
out
the
the
eighth
West?
seed.
Who
They
you
made
got
the
out the
eighth
West?
seed.
Who you
If
got
they
out the
came
West?
back, so if they came back healthy and they made the eighth seed,
Yeah,
y'all
or
saw my
with
list
or
earlier.
no, they're not even there. They're not even there. I'm sorry. They're
Oh,
not even there.
because I'm
My
telling you,
apologies.
if
Season is
they
a wrap.
made it,
My
if they
apologies.
made it.
But if
But
we
listen,
would have
real
to have
quick,
all 30 there. We have to all 30.
before we move forward, right? I just want to last one on this topic, and this is a bombshell. I do not have one of the LA teams making it to the finals.
So what team do you have in the West making it into the finals?
Denver.
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 Yep.
Denver can't play on the road, and we playing in a neutral site. You talking about Denver?
Denver has the third best team, third best record in the West. They have cohesiveness. They've been playing together for the past
It's
couple of years.
inflated.
Huh?
It's inflated. Look at the home record and look at the road record.
Don't
It's
matter to me.
inflated,
It's
bro.
about wins. It's about wins. And at the end of the day, for the next 4 months or however long we're gonna play, Orlando is my home. So I want to treat it like a home game. And listen, I'm just talking about Mike Malone, who's a good coach. They have an up and coming big man. They
Up and
have
coming.
yeah, I mean he's a problem. He's a problem.
He is.
They have cohesiveness. They have a good bench. They play defense. Denver is a team that nobody's talking about. And because they've been doing this for a while now. And like you said, sort of like Milwaukee has been through the rigors, right? They've been through this round and that round and just trying to get to that round. And I think that Denver is the same way. They have been working their way on up. And I feel as though that now is the time because it's a time to take advantage of an opportunity, and they are the team that has been playing together the longest in the West to me. So that's why I got Denver actually coming out of the West, because of the cohesiveness, because of everything that's going on, because they know each other.
Well, all right. There that
So
is.
real quick again, just staying with that topic a little bit. The off season, how it is shaping up to look, what's shaping up to look like with the NBA season starting back in July 31st, with the draft in August, with the finals being in October 12th. Go. October 12th. And then with the season starting back in December, to me, I know this is a trial run, but to me, I think that this is how it should look moving forward. That's just my opinion. I want to get you guys' opinion on that, and your thoughts on that, and then we can move forward into the next topic.
Are you saying as far as the schedule is concerned?
As far as how the off season is, right? So, like I said, July we're gonna look at the playoffs actually, or the season resuming. We're looking at August as the draft.
Pretty much having the season start in December.
A little later. Yep, basically, yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. I mean, TV people would, but I mean, at the end of the day, if it's all about what with the TV. Sorry, it was a gnat. if the TV people want that to happen, because I mean they're talking about their ratings, and I mean even though it's in the heart of football season when it starts, football is what, Thursday, sometimes Saturday, Sunday, then Monday. And basketball you can catch on Tuesday. If you got league pass, you can catch it every night. You can pretty much catch basketball on somewhere. So I mean, it would be really up to how they negotiate as far as the television, and then going forward, would that mean you would extend the season all the way until July or into
Yep.
August?
Yep.
And that'll help the August as far as television ratings, because then all you have is preseason football. And I mean, you do have other. I'm not going to discredit other sports, but I mean, if we're talking about the main four, that's all you have really in the month of August. So I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Dude, you just said that like baseball doesn't exist in August.
Baseball, hockey.
Like baseball don't exist in August.
Yeah, baseball does exist in August,
Right
but
there.
listen, I like baseball from September on.
I understand. Same thing with hockey.
I mean, we could get into that topic as far as.
Anywho, I'm not getting ready to sit here and have y'all talk about baseball and disrespect baseball like that. But anyway,
No, get into baseball.
No, I'm just saying it's the hardest team sport to play. So, but anyway, I wouldn't be against starting the NBA season in December at all. You know, and prolonging it into July or even August. You know what I mean? Basketball. I'm watch basketball. I love watching basketball. You know what I mean? So more basketball. I would never say no to that. Uh, the only thing is, as far as the draft, would you still have the draft that far out into late August, September?
Yeah, the one and done's ain't gonna like that. The two and done's, that means they gotta stay in class. It means they gotta pass. They got midterms they gotta do. They gotta
You know
go
what I
to
mean?
spring break and then come back to school. It's a lot for them, man.
Here's where I think again. So I think a lot of stuff will change if that happens. Where we will see a lot of like you're talking about the one and dones. They ain't going to commit to colleges no more. They're going to go. They're going. Go ahead.
That's what I was saying. I was ready to say the NBA right now should be putting a map together for their future. This is the perfect time to go ahead and say, you know what? Let's go ahead and make sure that our G League, we can do a G League draft and we can just draft these kids right out of high school if they want to come into the NBA, if they can go to the G League or whatever. Let's just be done with the whole NCAA to begin with. If kids still want to go to the NCAA, fine, let them go. We'll draft them coming out of there too. But let's go ahead and get everything situated right now. Get like this was the perfect time to sit down and plan out the future for the playoffs, plan out the future for the draft. I've been a big advocate for doing away with the draft lottery and having a playoff. The teams that don't make the playoffs in the NBA, they should have a playoff for the first pick. No, don't get rewarded for losing all year and then have a lottery.
Yes.
Go out and earn that first pick.
Commissioner Bibbins.
Go out in the tournament, play in a tournament, and go out and win the first pick. If you really want it, reward them. And it's not gonna hurt to play more. It's really gonna hurt those young guys to get some more basketball in during the summer. Like it wouldn't hurt them at all. Especially a team like Atlanta, they could use some more chemistry and some more cohesiveness to get better. But they could also use a number one draft pick. So like, go out and get it. Like it. Like who wants to keep finishing in the 10th seed for your whole career? You finish in the 10th seed. You can't get in the lottery because you always the 10th seed, but you're not making the playoffs. That's corny, bro. I would not want to keep living my life like that. Let's have a playoff. Let's go out here and make sure we can get this number one pick.
And to your point, right? Based on that, it will eliminate what some of the people hate, right? Which is actually tanking on purpose, tanking several seasons on purpose. If I knew that if I tanked and then I had to go in and actually beat out these teams to get the top pick, I might as well try to get that 8th seed. I mean, at least try to go play for the playoffs and then play for something, as opposed to just keep tanking and then I gotta go out here and prove that I'm good enough to actually win this number one overall pick. So I like that. I do like that idea. But again, we're gonna wrap this topic up. But a couple of points that I had is, what the mindset is, how it does kind of affect, or both of you guys said, it kind of affects the one and dones or the two and dones. I think, like Biv said, is the NBA needs to actually prepare for that, and I believe the NCAA needs to prepare for that as well. Because if it does start to happen like that, we are going to see more and more people not commit to colleges, and they're going to go straight to from high school to the G League, and from the G League, then they'll get drafted to NBA teams. So I think that that's something that we need to think about in the future, and I think that also makes sports more important and more exciting. But one thing I want to touch on before we move off this topic is Biv posted a question in our chat about, does this season champion have an asterisk next to their name?
Yes. That's all I said. Yes. The season is all messed up. So yeah, like 20. It's an asterisk by 2020. Listen, it's an asterisk by 2020. Just the whole
year. Just the
whole
year,
bro.
The whole year got an asterisk.
The whole year just erased the whole year.
No. Okay. So I'll stop that because I'm not going to speak that into existence. So we're going to say from January up until the beginning of June, and any event that has been affected because or March, just whatever has been affected by that has an asterisk. So yeah, asterisk by the MLB if they ever play a game, asterisk by all that except for the NFL because they might start on time. So but
I say no, man. I say no. Everybody had to endure the same thing. It's not like anybody got an advantage or anything. Like, why would you put an asterisk beside it? Like, no one cheated. Like, it's not like LeBron went in his lab and the same lab they created him in and made this COVID virus. And made this COVID virus for everybody to go get. Like everybody is having to endure. Everybody is having to endure the same thing. It's no outside influence other than the COVID. Like nothing's changed other than we're pushing everything back, and then we're just going to be in this one location. Everybody is going to have to endure the same thing. Everybody's going to have to put up with the same thing. Everybody's going to have to go through the exact same thing. Like to me, it's no different than a strike shortened season. I would never put an asterisk next to 2012. I would never put an asterisk next to 1999. I wouldn't do that because everybody in the league had to endure the same thing. So because of
But
that,
is there one?
I'm gonna say
But is there one?
no. Hmm?
Nope.
Is there an asterisk?
Not in my book. Not in
Nope.
my
There
Oh,
book.
is
not. But when we go to basketballreference.com, is there an asterisk?
Yeah, because
no.
they're gonna have
I ain't
they're
worried
gonna
about
put
that.
they're gonna pop that. Maybe they put a plus sign instead of the
Maybe
asterisk.
the little, the little
So again, for me, like Bill said, it took both my points. 1999, 2012. There are no asterisks next to any one of those names. And when we talk about championships, right? We don't say, well, Tim Duncan got 5 championships or he got four in a possible championships. We don't say that. We don't say LeBron got 2 in a possible championships. We say my man got 3 championships, and we say that Tim Duncan has 5 championships. And part of the reason that we start mentioning Tim Duncan as one of the greatest power forwards of all, or the greatest power forward of all time, is because of the championships, right? So that's one of the
he
reasons
said
that we
the.
talk. Well, he is
Nah, nah, I
the
ain't
best
gonna
power
mess with
forward
you.
of all time. So to me, no, there is no asterisk next to their name. And then when we start talking about other sports, and they have strikeout seasons, there aren't any asterisks next to those names, their names either. So for me, it's no, because like Biv said, everybody had the same opportunities, and for me, um, it you're going to see how hungry people are, more so than those 2 seasons, 99 and 2012, because we see that the season that actually began, they had momentum, and then there was a little bit of break in between. So they were actually able to see what they had and what they've been working with for the season. So those teams that actually believe that they can win the championship are actually hungrier and more anxious to get back out there on the court, to actually um, uh, to win the championship. And for the teams that actually believe they have a chance to win, they're going to come out more hungry as well, because they feel as though that we didn't start out as good as we wanted to, maybe like the Bostons or maybe like the Miami, the 76ers. And then they're going to come out, and I feel as though they're going to leave it all out there. So for me, nah, there's no asterisk next to that, next to this championship.
Hey, you gotta answer something in the chat, and not in the chat on. You got a viewer asking. So you saying Tim is better than Kevin? But I'll let you answer that there. Let's move on to the
I
next
will
topic.
answer that there.
Yeah.
So moving forward, right, about the pandemic and the 2020 season, and how sports has been changed. I mean, it's just crazy, right? We talked about throw away the whole 2020 season, and that is what may happen in baseball. They may actually throw away the whole 2020 season. But the question that I have for y'all is, coming off of the biggest scandal that baseball has seen in a while. Well, for me, that baseball has seen ever. Um, can they recover from COVID-19 if they don't play this whole season?
Yes, yes. Um, I feel like baseball is it's just gonna always it's gonna always spring back just because they consider it America's pastime, and it's really the only thing to do during the summer. Like that that is as far as sporting events come on. That's it. That's the only thing that you can do during the summer, and we're talking about an opportunity where eventually we're going to get back to some sort of normalcy. So you think about if football happens, basketball happens, baseball doesn't happen this summer because of for whatever reason, next summer, the anticipation of that is probably going to be through the roof just because it's gone so long without it. And it wasn't because of some sort of scandal. Like if it was a shortened because of some sort of scandal, I may be a little hesitant to say it, but it's only because of the pandemic. I think that they'll recover from the pandemic. I think they missed out on the opportunity because I believe that the scandal was going to boost the ratings. I think the scandal was going to actually boost the ratings because people were interested to see how people were going to receive the Red Sox and the Astros if guys were going to throw at them, retaliation and fights and different things like that. I believe people were anticipating on seeing that. So I believe that they missed out on an opportunity, but I think baseball will eventually bounce back just like it did after, the strike shortened season. It survived steroids. Like, I just feel like baseball will always bounce back because it's America's sport, and let's just be real. White people love it. Let's just be honest about it. Like, they're the majority in the country. They love baseball. It's not going anywhere. Just be real.
Good points.
Yeah, that was well spoken. So I to Biff's point, I do think that it will survive because I think that at the end of the day, just the culture of America sports is one of the main points as far as culture wise America loves, and baseball has been America's game. So along with football as well. But with baseball, one of the things just looking into this situation, right? So with the pandemic for them turned from it being a normal season to now we're having labor disputes. And we're talking about bread. Now, we got players that's coming out saying that Scott Boras, who, if you don't know, which I did my research, Scott Boras got over $1 billion guaranteed combined over this past offseason. And now he's telling his guys they shouldn't agree to pay cuts and they can't play the game without you. And mind you, he reps who? Steven Strasburg from the Nationals, Bryce Harper of the Phillies. So we're talking about, like, I know these guys. I haven't been indulged or indulged in baseball in a long time, but I know these guys. So then now you have a fight between billionaires and millionaires of how many games you're going to play and who's going to get what and revenue splits and whatnot. But at the end of the day, like, this wasn't going to happen if the pandemic never happened. So now we're talking about baseball as a whole. Like, we had to where the World Series didn't happen in 95.
Mm-hmm.
So now we having it to where the World Series had never not happened and since like 1917 before then. So now we have two non-World Series years in the span of 30 years. That to me, it does take away from the game. Plus it just it's not to mention, interesting fact is if they don't play the season this year, players like Mookie Betts is a free agent because he gets a year of service. So the Dodgers don't have that year without Mookie Betts. What in the world? So I know the Dodgers like, yo, we got to play something, man, because we done got this guy for a World Series run, and here we are. So
yeah, but it's also no cap, so they can back the Brinks truck up to him. So if they really want him, so it doesn't really that really don't matter because there's no cap. They can give him whatever he want if they really want him.
That's true.
They really want him,
if
and
they
he want to be
they
there,
had
they can give him whatever they want.
Yeah, and that is a fact. Just if they were on the other end to where they just wanted to run him for a year, you know what I mean, to get another run. So I definitely understand your point. But I was just looking at it from that perspective. Like, it's a lot of things that can happen, and it's just crazy that the pandemic turned from a normal season that was really the headline was the scandal to now we're talking about money.
So let me be clear about one thing, right? Baseball isn't going anywhere. It's not falling off the cliff. It's not going to dissolve or anything like that. When I say recover, and when I say keep pushing, I'm talking about to the precedents where Biv says it's American sport, right? And I disagree with him there because I think football is king in America. That is America's sport. But I'm talking about like some of the things that Taman's talking about when we're talking about now. It went from this COVID-19 pandemic, which is pushing all sports back, to now we're seeing bigger issues. Right? We're seeing the last thing we remember about baseball is the scandal and how the commissioner or the head of baseball blew it. Right? We saw how he blew that and how he failed to handle that. And
You
now
think he blew it? You think he blew
he
it?
blew that. He blew that. And I think to touch on, because you asked that question, to touch on what Biv said is, I think people were going to watch baseball a little bit because of the anticipation, because it was going to be players policing players, because the commissioner blew
Dropped
it,
the ball.
because he dropped the ball on how they handled that thing. They were going to get all those players that cheated, they were going to get hit almost every game, or every time they got up to bat, they were going to get hit every time, because the commissioner failed to put something into place to where these people were reprimanded. They didn't get they didn't get in trouble at all. So the commissioner basically said it's okay to cheat and win. So I think that for true baseball fans, that kind of pushed left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And then we're talking about this labor disputes now, where we're seeing players and going up against management, where their players are saying that I'm not playing for less than this, and baseball and owners are saying, well, guess what? I mean, I'm not gonna pay you for games that you're not playing. So I think that as far as recovering, I think that, to me, if baseball don't get a handle on all their fair, I'm talking about the labor disputes. I'm talking about, one, the viewership was already down. Yeah, I mean, so I'm talking about just competing with all the other sports and how they are ahead of the curve. I think that baseball can actually slip to being fifth out of all the sports, and I'm throwing UFC in there, and the way it's rising, the way that's rising. So I think that that is what I'm talking about. But go ahead, Bill.
Oh, I already feel like I call it's America's pastime.
Got you.
I don't call it America's sport. I believe that football is definitely ahead of it. I put basketball ahead of it. I'd put MMA ahead of it. I believe that soccer and both hockey are at least equivalent to it, if not surpassing it. But it's still all white.
I got you.
And that is what is going to keep it afloat, is because it is the sport that they know that they have their handle on here in America. You can go across seas and you can play hockey. You can go across seas and you can play soccer. You can go across seas and you can play baseball, but you're not gonna get the name and the money that you're gonna get here. And it's the only thing that they still have a hold on in white America as far as an American sport. Hockey is not really an American sport. You don't see it's not everywhere. It's not everywhere. It's football. It's not soccer. It's football all over the world, except for here. It's a bigger sport all over the place. Baseball is the only thing that white America has a hold on, and it will never go anywhere. The labor disputes and everything like that. Baseball has huge issues that they need to address, and the scandal and then the pandemic on top of it, it's just making it worse. But I still think it'll bounce back. I don't think it'll ever be what it once was. In my opinion, baseball in the 80s and really in the early 90s and even kind of in the late 90s with the home runs and everything like that, I don't think it'll ever get back to that. But when you still seeing people get in $400 and $500 million contracts, they're making money somewhere. They're making the money somewhere.
Yep. I got you.
So I have a few questions to throw out to you guys, because you guys are more in tune to baseball than I am. I'm like 3 levels below the casual fan when it comes to baseball. I watch when the
You're
playoffs.
not a fan at all, then.
No. I watch when the playoffs is on, but other than that, I'm probably tuned into something else. And there's no knock to baseball whatsoever. But
real quick, before you ask the question,
hey, okay.
I'm gonna say that based off what you said, which to me it leads to what I was saying, right? You watch during certain times, so viewership is down. There's nothing that intrigues you. So that is what I'm saying about it recovering. But go ahead.
No, I definitely agree with you on that one. I would not be one of the ones that would be tuned in. However, maybe a couple times. I'm not even gonna hold you, but yeah. But one of the things I wanted to ask is, did as far as the scandal is concerned, when we're talking about the Houston Astros and allegedly the Red Sox cheating, right? Um, we can all say that who was it? Jose Altuve's career was headed to pretty much Hall of Fame status. We could say that, right?
Uh-huh.
So does this keep him out of the Hall of Fame now?
Baseball Hall of Fame? Nope.
Yeah, baseball. Why not?
I think. Listen, I think that he's still a good player, regardless of if he cheated or not. Again, the championship wasn't taken away, and I still think that if he wins another World Series, that will solidify him going to the Hall of Fame.
But was not Barry Bonds a 30-30 guy before he got big?
Listen, this is what I want to say. I think there's a lot of politics that's keeping Barry Bonds out of. Listen, to me, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I'm gonna keep it real.
No, I'm just no.
I think Barry Bonds is the greatest baseball player I've ever seen.
Take Barry Bonds out of it. Pete Rose. Pete Rose he was a manager, not a player.
What Pete Rose did was he bet on his own games. Like what Pete Rose did
manager,
was
not a player.
Well, that's also it's
he was a manager player too, though.
I can say they say he bet on his and to me,
but he only bet on his team.
What Pete Rose did, I think Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. I think they need to lift the ban and put my man in the Hall of Fame. So again, talking about politics, I think that those two aren't in there because of politics, but I think Jose Altuve does get in.
What would you say there, Dwayne?
I say he gets in. Unfortunately, like there's no science to it. Like you could say like a guy beating on a trash can and there he tipped his pitch, but who's to say that Altuve wasn't in the batter box and the pitcher tipped this pitch anyway? Like I mean, like there's no science that's gonna prove that he had that much more of an advantage because you know what I mean he got a tip on a pitch, and it's something that they do really anyway.
They had cameras, bro.
Dude, everybody. When I say everybody does this, and they do it at all levels. They may not be video camera and have the video camera, but you still signs at all levels. Now they took it to another level that they was using video camera and all that. They took it to another level, but I'm not gonna say that you know what I mean that he was that much better because he had you know what I mean a pitch tip here or there. I don't think he had that much of an advantage.
I mean, like I said, it was just questions because of course when I was watching baseball, I liked Barry Bonds when he was on the Pirates, and Barry Bonds was the thing. Now when he went to San Francisco, and everything got enlarged, and he started hitting 70 home runs, I was like, listen, oh snap, he lifted weights. Granted, he may not have, or whatever the case may be, but I mean, at the end of the day, I still think that, I mean, if the politics is along with him, Mark McGwire, Roger Clemens, it needs to be politics with Jose Altuve as well. And I mean, and another point that I wanted to just put out is when we're talking about this cheating thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as the tipping pitches and all that, I think that's a part of the baseball culture, if I'm not mistaken. Correct, Dwayne?
Yes. Yes. Stealing signs is part of the stealing signs is part of the culture.
Okay. So the way that they went about taking it was as far as using the technology and all that is where you have it. So where they could use it at their place, right? Mm-hmm. So you think about now these guys coming up, single A, double A, triple A, you had a pitcher that's going through the ropes, all that. Now he gets his final start against Houston, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Houston, and he has bad game because of this. He gets dropped down. How does that affect his career? You know what I mean? Like it's when we think about the cheating, as far as that, I thought about that aspect. I thought about the fact that when they was, I did watch them play the Yankees, and it was close games in Houston, and the Yankees blew them the heck out when it was in New York in 2017. And I'm like, how does that change the World Series? And the Dodgers as well is thinking that, like, how does that change the whole landscape of us? I mean, it's just a lot of things that, I mean, granted, Dwayne said it happens, and it's probably, I wouldn't be surprised if a few other teams other than the Red Sox, allegedly, I'll say, is doing this. It's just that they didn't get caught. I mean, it was somebody that snitched on them that got everything, but it's just like the commissioner shows what it is. I mean, it's a part of their game. They're not going to change too much. The way that it is, some players is pissed off, but at the end of the day, I mean, the commissioner is almost like a reflection of the league.
I do agree with that.
The way that he handled it as a whole, it was just like, yo, I mean, there's no judge and jury. There wasn't no judge and jury as far as the steroids in a sense. We had a Mitchell report. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? Like, we still had to wait to see if my man got suspended. He was still hitting home runs. You know what I mean? But they don't put him in the Hall of Fame. It's just a lot with baseball, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of tuned out. I mean, when these dudes start hitting 60, 70 home, I was intrigued. Then to find out they getting, you know what I mean, all types of PEDs and whatnot, I was like, okay.
But, it was.
I mean, at the end
it
of
was
the day,
clear.
Baseball. That's safe baseball.
I was gonna say it was
hey,
clear.
I like the baseball when they was on steroids. I'm sorry.
But
I don't really care. It's their body. If they want to destroy their body, you know what I mean? Like, what people always say about Barry Bonds is, you know what I mean, he went crazy. He started hitting home runs. People forget, like, this dude was also leading the league in walks at the same time. So, like he was either walking or hitting a home run almost every other time he was coming up the bat. Like, I'm not saying that the steroids didn't help him, but he also was a great baseball player. It just took him to an extreme level.
it was allegedly they took steroids also. But before that, when he got to San Francisco, right? How many MVPs did he have before he got to San Francisco?
I think he
2, 3?
already had like 3. Yeah. He was a Hall of Famer before. Whenever he allegedly
before he even got
so
to
then
San
they should
Francisco,
just take his career. They should just take his career from Pittsburgh and put that in the Hall of Fame. At least
he had 2 Hall of Fame careers, man.
Word. But so I'm going to say this, and then it's going to segue us into our final topic. But like you said, I think cheating is a part of baseball. And what they said is, listen, everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it. Everybody's using some kind of mechanical buzzer, you know what I mean, something like that. It's just that the Astros used it to a level where they did it better than everybody else. So what I'll say is this is like the same question you asked me about Altuve, right? Isn't it on record that the Patriots have been cheating for years?
Boy,
and we got video. We got video.
We are here, man.
We got video of them just cheating, trying to cheat this year. This season they was trying to cheat. Video. My man said,
you wonder why I got Brady at 4, yo. You wonder why I got Brady at 4. See?
My man said, yo, I can delete it and we can figure out, we can say this never happened on camera. And Tom Brady, a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Allegedly. No. He's allegedly. It hasn't happened yet. Nah.
But so like I said, man, I just think, again, it is a lot of politics in there, but I still believe that even if you cheat or anything like that, you still have some kind of talent. And I think that steroids didn't take away from your talent. It just enhanced it. And I think that same thing with Tom Brady and them. Again, I still think they stole the Super Bowl from us, but it is what it is. They didn't get punished, so if I'm not gonna get punished for cheating, I'm gonna keep doing it. But
Absolutely.
but the question that we have is, how do we think that COVID-19 will affect the NFL?
Now, we talk about Drew and
Okay,
Jake
yeah,
from State
okay.
Farm too, right?
Yeah,
Okay, I just
I
want
definitely want to talk about that.
I
So
wasn't trying to put that on blast. I just because I did my little note.
I definitely want to talk about that. So since you brought that up, right? Let's start there. Let's
Oh,
start
I ain't.
there.
We can end with that. We can end
Oh,
with
all
that.
right. All right, cool. So do we think that the COVID-19 will affect the NFL?
I have to say yes. Um, I'm still I'm still interested to see how the NBA is gonna actually pan out, but with the NFL, where would their neutral site be? You know what I mean? To house all all those teams, you know what I mean? Like I just think with this, with having the social distancing and that different things, unless they can come up with some way to make sure that everybody getting clean air in their face mask and everything like that, I don't know. I just don't know how it's gonna go. And with it being already June, and there doesn't even seem like there is a timeline for OTAs. Like I haven't even heard anybody like this is the proposal, and then then when everything came out with the protests and everything got pushed back. The NBA seemed like the only um, organization that actually was already implementing something already, and they were talking about it. And then when that happened, they were able to kind of shelve it for a little bit and get back to it. I haven't heard anything from the NFL as far as a possible timeline when they were looking to do things. You know, even getting players and coaches into facilities together, because I'm assuming with all the different states having their own different protocols for social distancing and everything, I guess it was hard for them to get on everybody to get on one page and not have somebody have a competitive advantage because they had 2 or 3 extra weeks in OTAs to prepare and guys, working together. I don't know if we're gonna have a football season until possibly spring.
I think that the NFL is actually in a better position, being as though that their league season really starts in the fall. So they can see what the NBA does and implement whatever it is that they need to do. One of the cons is the fact of, like you said, OTAs. Um, I think that if I'm not mistaken, they have it to where the next time that people are probably going to be in the same facility, it'll probably be during training camp. So they're just going to start right into it. But I think that they can see how baseball, if they do come together and play, but mainly how the NHL and the NFL or the NBA is going to do as far as the testing and whatnot. Um, Now, one thing I thought about is the California teams because they their stay at home order is we'll let you know. It doesn't have a date. So with that, it's going to be interesting to see how my Niners and the Rams and the Chargers how they're going to do that. I did hear that the Dolphins they passed where they applied for something and it got passed to where they're approved for 15,000 limit in Hard Rock Stadium. So that could be possibly a neutral site. But like you said, that's a lot of people and a lot of teams just playing in Miami. How is that going to work out? But it seems like Florida is the hot spot as far as neutralness is concerned. Um, but I really think that Roger Goodell would do anything to make sure that there's a season. Um, and I think that even going to the restraints of not having fans and Like I think it was Deshaun Jackson that said mic up all the players, using the virtual crowd, kind of like how the Japanese or the Chinese baseball league is doing, and pumping noise into the stadium as well. So sort of like a real life Madden game. Um, I mean, we already know some teams have already pumped some noise into stadiums anyway, so they should already know how to do that. But they already got a ticket refund policy in place as well. I think they did that during the draft. They unleashed that. So as far as that is concerned, I think the only hurt would be as far as the salary cap, which if that were to happen, as far as not having fans, you're talking about losing 30 to 80 million dollars because of the loss of revenue without the fans. So that's a lot. Um, but it's one thing that their bargaining agreement got done before this, so we're not talking about this and the pandemic and everything else. But I think that Roger Goodell is a second when it comes to commissioners, and that's a long way down. But he's as far as getting the money, he's definitely about that. So I don't think that they're not going to play. They're definitely going to play in the
So,
fall.
so I kind of agree with both of you guys. I think that football as we know it, we don't know what that will look like. Like I said, because of the pandemic. But can you imagine? Can you imagine football life without football? Can you imagine what this? We talking about riots and listen. This is no way. This is no way to compare football to what's going on in the world right now. But you talking about riots, man? There will be riots and looting if the football season doesn't happen. There will be, with the way 2020 is going, especially let baseball not happen, and then you telling me football not happening, man. Something gonna happen if football don't happen. So I think that we don't know how it will look or what it will look like, but I think that football is going to be played by any means necessary, no matter if they find a neutral site, if they are going overseas, if they don't. Football is going to be played by any means necessary, and for that, I think that it won't really have a huge effect on football. Um, because again, people are going to watch football regardless. If you can play you can come to Delaware, play in our backyard, and people are going to tune in. People don't care where it's played, where it's at. People are going to tune in and watch football. I think that when we talk about the cuts and the revenue cuts because we're not playing in the stadiums, I think that's also going to help viewership. I also think that that's going to help people, the TV deal. So that's where Roger Goodell needs to start negotiating with the TV deals, because I think that's also going to help skyrocket that aspect of football. But for me, I don't think that it's going to have that much of an impact or effect on football because people are going to watch football regardless. And football, again, is football. Football is America's sport. So people are going to tune in regardless of where it is. If I can't go watch it at the stadium, I'm going to go link up with my buddies and we're going to watch it. So I think football is not going to really be that really be impacted by COVID-19 at all.
They're gonna have face masks on their face masks.
Face mask on the
That's
face
how they're
mask.
gonna do it.
They're gonna make it look
That's how
like
they're
a
gonna do it.
you know how football players do, man. Listen, they make everything into a fashion. So they're gonna make it look like it's fashionable. And that's what they're gonna do with it.
Yeah, it's money to be made. And well, this pandemic changes everything, and it's supposed to come back in the fall.
Like, I agree.
But did it go away?
I believe it. I believe it's going to be football. I believe it's going to be football. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it's going to look like, but I still like college football. I'm more on college football than I am NFL guy. So my Saturdays are going to be lonely if I don't have college football.
See, I'm glad he brought that up because even though it's not something we're talking about.
Oh no! Don't be glad he brought that up. Did you just see what happened to him?
I had a shoebox thrown.
Listen. Don't you concur there? Don't you concur?
I ain't talking about the lonely
I
part.
can. Hey, hey, I can find something to do on
Nah,
Saturdays if it and Sundays if it doesn't. There's
Hey,
no
listen.
hold
loneliness.
on. So I can't say that, but my man just said that they get ready to riot for the NFL, but I can't say my Saturdays are gonna be lonely. But my man can say that they gonna riot.
Because of the crowd participation that you had in the background is where
But nah, like I just feel like, man, I gotta have college football more than gotta have the NFL.
I
You know,
definitely, I definitely
I
understand. I
gotta have
definitely
college
understand.
football before the NFL because I really don't even start watching NFL like that until Thanksgiving anyway. So
Man, listen, like y'all said, we seeing all of it being impacted. But like you said, college football, college basketball, man, if those two things don't happen, I think that it's looking more and more like they won't happen.
yeah,
Those if those two things won't happen, man. eh, I said it's gonna be a
hey,
riot.
but
It's
listen,
gonna
this
be a
is
riot if
hey,
college
hey,
if what's name don't happen. In certain states, if college
this is
football don't happen,
oh, they gonna riot in Alabama. They gonna
boy,
lose it in
this
Alabama.
boy,
this is sort of a rhetorical question, but this is something to think about, right? So we got the pandemic, and we talking about how the pandemic is affecting sport, but we also have these protests and the riots happening that they standing very close to each other. Now, granted, they got masks on,
some
but
of them.
I haven't heard too much about the pandemic since the riots have been happening on the news. What
Well,
about you guys?
well, there haven't been a lot of it on the news, but there was a spike in corona cases in North Carolina. I think like some after one of the riots that they had, somewhere like 3,000 new cases came in with coronavirus.
Yeah, I heard something like that too.
Okay, because I sometimes I don't pay attention to the to the news, so I gotta ask y'all because I listen. They
I don't watch the news either that much, brother.
I got you.
yeah. So let's talk
Now
about these two
let's get to
quarterbacks
that hot
that had
topic.
some yeah that hot topic before we can end off on that hot note. Can I want to listen. I want to bring this in and just state my point, and then that'll be you y'all listen because I've been mulling over these man. This is Drew Brees hurt my heart, bro. Drew Brees hurt my heart. As much as I've cheered for that man secretly on the Saints, he has broken my heart. But look, but in Jake Fromm, I this is the thing. I had a reaction of both Jake Fromm and Drew Brees, like wow, like not him. But more so with Drew Brees. I think that in his mind, and unfortunately for many, that it's all about the flag versus the actual reason that Colin Kaepernick knelt in the first place was to bring attention to police brutality among black and brown men, and that's where the disconnect is. And I think that with Drew Brees, he has more of a respect with his teammates and within the NFL that they've seen what he's done outside of this comment. And what's crazy is that their team meeting happened to actually happen the day after he had the comments. So he was able to voice his opinion and also get opinions voiced to him from his teammates, and then he came out with the apology. Granted, the apology it is what it is, and it seems like I heard LeVar Arrington say it seems like there's a template going around as far as the as far
Apology.
as the apologies. Um, but I think that his teammates, such as Malcolm Jenkins, Mike Thomas hit it on the head when he said that he don't know no better. Um, but I think listening to them and him actually taking action may not gain the respect, but maybe more so. I see that he's genuine about his apology. But I think his was more so viewed towards patriotism over it being like he's seen it as a patriot type perspective versus actually looking at the climate of what the nation is today and having a tone deaf reaction to what happened. Um, And one more thing about Jake Fromm, just to speak on that. Um, I have two questions to viewers, as anybody, and to my counterparts as well. Um, that I would say that I would ask him, and maybe just ask in general, just to think about. Um, was he taught that race doesn't matter? And the reason why I would ask that question to him, is that looking at his history, he's a born again Christian. So for him to have this mindset, it wonders
Wow.
what what is your objective of the world. And the second question would be, do you think elite white people should afford certain privileges that the rest of the world should not?
Mm.
Um, that one, I think is pretty much summed up in itself. I mean, the text message said it, so that would be, that's something that he didn't address in his apology.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but to sum up both Drew Brees and Jake Fromm in a whole, I would say that you can only make sense of the world through the cultural framework you were conditioned to make sense of it through. Meaning our viewpoint is and will always be through our eyes, and vice versa through theirs. And the upbringing, along with the elements and the diversity you engage in, it sculpts your views and how you see the world. And unfortunately, in some situations, it's almost a disconnect or an ignorance to what is the real plight of being heard from us. And the way that we have to change that, I would say, is to have the allies, quote unquote allies that we have with us, they have to express that view to the counterparts that don't actually get it, so they can get it. Because unfortunately, we've been having this discussion since Malcolm, and we're now in
Unfortunately.
2020. So it's not being heard. So it needs to be heard from the majority, and not from us, for them to actually get it. So yeah, that's me.
Well said, brother.
For
I
me,
wrote that out. I had some good points and everything. I had to organize my thoughts on this one because I didn't want to fly off the handle
I
and
got you.
say anything, you know what I mean? So I wanted to speak from the heart, speak truth. At the
Mm.
same time, no, I didn't want to, you know what I mean, step
I
on
got you.
too many toes.
understandable. I'm not. I don't care about tips right now. Um, for me, I don't care nothing about Drew Brees' apology. Um, Kaepernick didn't take a knee 2 weeks ago. You feel me? This is something that has been going on. So your mind, there's no way that over the last what 2, 3 years now that your mind didn't change, and then you had this talk with everybody on your team, and then all of a sudden overnight your whole mindset changed. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying it. He can apologize, and his teammates, they want to accept it. They can accept it. I don't have to deal with him, so I don't have to accept it. But he spoke how he felt on that interview, and there was nothing that he didn't change the way he felt. He's just having to save face right now. He's having to save face, and he's having to make sure that he's gonna keep the sponsorships. He's having to make sure that he's gonna be a leader and respected and trying to make another Super Bowl run. That's what Drew Brees is about right now. And I don't have any ill will about him feeling the way he felt. If that's the way he felt, own up to it. Like that's the one thing that people got to understand. You can have a difference of opinion. That doesn't make you necessarily always a bad person. I didn't feel like he was saying anything derogatory or mean towards our movement or our culture. I just felt as though he had a stance on how he felt about the flag. You know, it was ignorant. He wasn't wrong for feeling that way, but it was an ignorant view because it took away from the actual stance that they were taking. And if you hadn't gotten that already, you still didn't get it just because you had a talk with some teammates. Because if you didn't get it over the past 3 years, there's no way you got it overnight. It's not. I don't understand. I don't know if y'all feel that way or anybody else feel that way, but there's no way anybody can teach me something for 3 years and I don't understand it, and then all of a sudden somebody teaches it to me one night and I comprehend it wholeheartedly. It's not possible. So for me, he spoke how he felt. He could feel that way. That's all good. I don't have no ill will towards him. Jake Fromm, I don't even know the kid. I just know that he was an average quarterback at Georgia. And I guess he got drafted by the Bills or whatever. And but at the same time, you want to dig up people always digging up stuff on other people and blasting them. And it just happened to be his turn. And now he's sorry. He's not sorry that he did it. He's sorry he got caught.
Got caught.
That's just real. He's not sorry that he did it. He's sorry he got caught. And he's still gonna feel that same way. And just be honest about it. Like the people, I can respect a racist that is openly racist. If that's who you are, be that person. I can respect that. What I can't respect is a person that wants to smile and grin in my face and then be the racist behind my back. I can't respect that. I can respect that. If you're gonna be a racist, just be a racist in front of me. Be openly racist right there in front of me. I can respect that. I know exactly where you stand. I know exactly where me and you can agree and disagree on certain things. I already know that. I can respect that, but I can't respect the fakeness. I can't respect any of that. I don't tolerate it. Drew Brees, he's still a great quarterback. He's still going to be out there doing his thing, but he felt the way he felt about the flag, and he felt that way for a reason. I can respect that. I think it was. I guess I don't want to use that word because I don't want to call him ignorant, but I just felt like he's just been uninformed and he has not wanted to listen. Obviously, for the past 3 years, even though he took a knee, he took a knee and didn't even know why. Like that's the think about that. He took a knee before and he didn't know why.
Optics, bro.
It went against his own beliefs because he believed you shouldn't kneel before the flag. So he went against his own beliefs before just to save face already. So why do I believe now all of a sudden you're not trying to just save face with your opponents when you've already taken a knee just to save face? Now all of a sudden I shouldn't believe you lying to me because you say you're sorry about what you said. No, I'm not feeling.
Well, we already know he on his way out. I mean, so it's a matter of what NBC gonna do with him as far as public eye is concerned. But that go ahead, Dom, I'm sorry.
Yo, y'all talking real good, man. Y'all both talk real good. I was having a conversation with a friend, right? And I said that I feel as though the times now is worse than when Malcolm and Martin were doing their thing. And the reason I said that is is because it was okay. It was okay to be racist then. It was okay to be openly racist. It was okay to be openly prejudiced. It was okay to openly hate black people. Like that was, I woke up, they woke up, they went to school, they knew that I knew you didn't like me. I knew because I was black. There was a bathroom that said blacks. There was a bathroom that said whites. I knew where we stood, right? So now it's worse because I don't know, you could be my friend and be a racist, right? And that's what, and again, I'm not saying that Drew is racist, but that's the world we're living in now. Some of the people, if they said it's okay to be racist now, okay, I guarantee some of the people that we call friends, we're gonna see them on the other side because that's what is really deep down on the inside of them. That's where their core is. And I feel as though that, like what Malcolm said, right? Malcolm, like we saw Malcolm and we saw Michael Thomas speak out. Malcolm said, "You're the problem." That's what he said about Drew Brees. He said, "You're the reason. You're the problem." And one of the things that Taman said is he's talking about Drew is about patriotism, right? I think that is the problem in America. It's about patriotism, right? It's about the values of America. It's about what this country was built on. You know what I mean? And I think that is an issue. Instead of it being equal rights, we're talking about this is what it was built on. This is what it's always been, and this is what it will continuously be. Instead of making an actual change, I posted something today that said, America's worst nightmare is an educated black man and a woke white man. And what I meant by that is that we've been doing this. We have been educated. We have been woke. We have been protesting. We have been the voice out there on the front lines. But every time there has been a change with us, there has been a woke white people that actually supported us and who helped us further our cause. I think if there is going to be change, the peoples and the likes of Drew Brees, the likes of Tom Brady, the likes of Peyton Manning, those ones are the ones that need to speak up more and say more, and not not try to take this like I said, we just doing things for optics. No, things are happening in the black community, and if we keeping it real, right? 70 to 80% of your teammates are black. 70 to 80% of your teammates are being affected by these things that are going on in the world. And we can't be the only ones. Our voices can't be the only ones that's being heard. Obviously, they're not. They aren't really caring. Yeah, I mean, but when people like Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Carson Wentz, who spoke up, right? When they actually speak and use their voice, things change. And I think that Drew Brees, your voice, when he spoke up, his voice told me exactly how he felt. That's how he felt. He could have used his voice to further the cause of the black community and the 80% of the percent black people that he called teammates, and the 80% fraternity that he has been in for the past 20 years. 80% of the NFL or 75% of the NFL is black. Like, again, and Biv talked about how he took a knee with the black people, and you didn't even know what you were taking a knee on. But now, all of a sudden, you're talking about, I will never understand disrespecting the flag. That's not what it's about. And if you didn't understand disrespecting the flag, then why did you do it 2-3 years ago? Why did you do that? If that was the case. And like y'all said, y'all both, yeah, I mean, I'm just rambling and because I'm passionate about it, but y'all both
No, because it can turn this topic. That's why I said we gotta do this at the end, because it can turn and we be a whole hour. It can go from talking about Dick Fromm and Drew Brees to systematic racism and the system, and but I mean you're absolutely. I mean, I think that all our points are very valid, and I mean it's what is really wrong with America is the fact that, and like you guys said, he knelt and didn't really know the reason as to why he knelt, or his teammates being black. You got to think that it's a bubble almost. It's. I mean, just think about Drew Brees. He's been clean cut, all with the papers and everything. It's a bubble that he's in. So when he thinks of color, it's almost, this is just my teammate. It's not even about color in a sense. And to me, that ignorance, where you say it's not about color, it's just about individuals, bro. The system ain't saying that at all. So whenever you have that blindness to even people that are on your team, to understanding the stories that they went through or whatnot, and like you said, 3 years later, now you get it. It's like, no, you should have been knowing what it is from the gate. You got to know your history. Like, it also goes back to how you brought up. What have you been told? You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't not too long ago that I found not. I mean, it was a few years ago I found out about the Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Black Wall Street. Wasn't taught that in school, and not saying that my parents did me a disservice, but my parents didn't tell me that. So that's something that, and that his makeup has been learned and groomed, and unfortunately that comes from generations of being learned and groomed that way. So I mean, not saying that he's not at fault at all, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, just look at what America is, and to me those two are a picture of the reflection of America, if you want to call it that.
Good,
I
baby. Yes.
agree, but for me, with Drew, like he was in New Orleans through the whole Katrina fiasco. He's seen how the government mishandled that whole situation. So again, his perspective should have been much different coming into that to what he said last week. Like, and that's where I was confused. I'm like, dude, you were in New Orleans and you seen how the government basically said whatever to the black community after Katrina, and you seen how they mishandled that. And to think all these years later, you still didn't feel like there was systematic oppression and that people shouldn't be able to voice their opinion on that, and think that it was about the flag. And you're still in that fraternity in the NFL where you're seeing these guys and they're telling you that's not what it's about, and you still have that perspective last week.
On the
Because he don't
hills,
go home
on
to
the
it, yo.
hills.
He don't go home to it. He doesn't live
But
that.
listen,
Like even if he goes into those communities and help out, at the end of the day, he goes home to his probably suburban neighborhood, gated around people that look like him. So it's not. It's an occurrence. It's not a everyday thing.
here's my thing, Tamon, right? I think timing is everything. So on the heels of what was happening in America, right? On the heels of what's happening, right? The riots and the protests, because they just killed a couple more black people, right? On the heels of that, you don't come out and say something what Drew said. So a leader, right? Somebody, when you said you go home to this, and this is what you've been raised in, right? Here's another quote from a quarterback. I know I keep talking about my man, but this is not a bias thing. But this is another quote from a quarterback, Carson Wentz. He said, "Listen, the black community is hurting." And he said, "For me, being from North Dakota, I can't tell you that I understand what you guys are going through, because the majority of the people that I grew up with looked exactly like me." He said, "But what you are going through is not right, and I stand with you guys whatever you need me with for." You know what I mean? That's what Carson Wentz said, a white quarterback from North Dakota who the black friends that he probably has is the teammates that he has now, or
No,
the teammates that he had.
don't do that. Don't do that. North Dakota probably got some black people. Shout out to the
Listen,
black
I'm just telling
people
you
in
what
North
he
Dakota.
said. He said the majority of his friends look, well, not the majority. He said all of his friends look like him. All of his friends look like him. So what he was going home to was the white community, but he still has compassion and sense enough to say, "I stand with the black people, my black friends, or the just the black community with anything that you need." He still has empathy and sympathy for them.
Think of the age gap though.
Yeah, the age gap should say that, Drew, I learned some things.
Yeah, I
Drew
mean,
should be
but I'm
more
saying like
mature.
I would think I think more so the younger generation of this country is more
They
as
are more
far as
accepting
open
of
minded.
change.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Versus granted Drew is probably like 4 or 5, maybe 4 or 5 years older than me and Dwayne. Like I know Dwayne has
Four or
seen
five.
something and so yeah,
You
Drew
trying to
Brees
say?
probably like 39,
Yeah,
40.
39, 40, 39, 40.
41, 41. I'm not trying to shout out ages, so you know what I mean. But I mean, I think I did.
But
But
you put us
anyway,
out there though, bro.
I did. I already did. I already said I was mid 30s anyway. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that I know that people that are probably in this generation have seen a more unity than I would say even in my generation growing up in school. So I mean, it is what it is. Even though I mean, but yeah, yep. Just leave it at that.
Listen, I ain't even gonna give Jake Fromm no airplay with us. You know what I mean? I think that he said what he said. He meant what he said. Um,
Go dogs. No, I'm just joking.
and like Bibb said, the only reason that he apologized now is because it came out. Um, Big ups to him being a born again Christian. I respect that, whatever. But to me, there's a lot of people profess to be something. You know what I mean, and
Nah,
yeah, I
you
mean,
can't whatever that. We gonna talk about that on another show. We can't
we
whatever
are
whatever
gonna
that.
talk about that on another show. But what I'm gonna say is this, and I'll end it like this, right? Um, just because one cop kills a black person doesn't mean that all cops are bad. Just because one black man does a crime or something like that doesn't mean that we're all criminals. Just because one white man does something doesn't mean that they're all bad. There are good and bad and everything in every community and every race and every religion and anything that you believe in. There's good and bad. There's extremists and those are people, you know what I mean, who are good. So I think that the message we want to get across is that we just speak on issues that we feel as though that we're passionate about, but doesn't mean that we hate all white people. Well, white people in general, you know what I mean, or hate cops or dislike people just because. We just speak on things that we're passionate about, and that's the way that we feel about those certain topics and those situations.
The views that Dom just expressed do not. I'm joking. Nah, you summed it up, man. You summed it up.
So yeah, that's it. Like I said, even from our sports perspectives, it's just our opinions, our thoughts, the way we view it, and the way you guys view it. But we just what this show is built on, we just speak on topics, and that's what I want to leave you guys with. We just speak on it. It doesn't say we love or hate anybody. We just speak on things that we feel though have occurred through culture or sports, and we just speak on it. And that's our show for today.
Wait! Can I get a last?
Go ahead, man. I'm sorry. Listen, I was going to ask you, Biv,
I'll try to be sure.
Did y'all have anything?
I'll be short. He summed it up. You summed it up quite well. All I will say is that when it comes to anything that we have opinions on, whether you agree or disagree, if you don't know, just research. Just look it up. Just take your time to educate yourself. That's all I would say. Whether it be the issues that we have with racial discrimination, or even with the athletic part, or music, whatever the case may be, if you agree or disagree, that's fine. Just know that we are 3 out of 4 of some well-educated individuals who have a outstanding, well, not, I ain't gonna say outstanding educational pass in my opinion, or in my case, but we we are, in my opinion, some of the most intelligent people that I've came across, as far as just in general talking, and speaking their opinion and do have something to say. And like I said, if you don't agree or you do agree, just make sure you just research some things and do some research for yourself, and maybe you might learn a thing or two. So yeah, that's my.
Biv, you good?
Just love, man. That's all I'm gonna say, man. Just spread love.
Man.
It's the Brooklyn way. I ain't from Brooklyn.
And on that note, that's what it's about. If y'all got anything else to say, speak on it, comment us, follow us on Facebook, on our Speak on It page, and share it. Until next time, man. Y'all know what it is. Speak on it, y'all.
Speak on it. Hey, follow us on YouTube too, as well. YouTube, like, subscribe. Hopefully we get some more content. But yeah, that's how we're going. So, are you laughing? All right.
Peace.
I'll let y'all.